girlies. Oh my God, it feels like it has been forever. Hello, lady in gray. And I guess it is good afternoon now, but when I said hello, it was morning. So I am very happy to be back. I know it's only been a week, but guys, it feels like it has been months, but it hasn't. So thank you. And happy Monday. I do hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. I hope you got to do whatever makes you happy and you got to be thankful for some good food, some good people, and some good times. Now, I am Teri True Crime, and welcome to Midday Missing, where we highlight current missing person cases that need more attention. Now, I did have somebody in one of our social media posts say, are they current if it's been 30, 40 years? Guess what? If they're still missing, it's current, okay? Because they haven't been found. So now we live stream every Monday and Wednesday at noon Central Time. Unless, of course, the beautiful llama is streaming a live trial on Couch Court. Then we do our shows during the court's lunch break, or if it's over in like Nevada time, like last time, we'll try to do it beforehand. Now, if you haven't yet, please like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss when we go live or when we drop a new episode. If you're listening over on the podcast apps, please download and leave us a review. Believe it or not, guys, this helps others find our show. Okay. Now, if you want more of me and Llama, you can always find us doing something over on True Crime and Wine Time YouTube channel. And guys, if you become a member, we have several levels with the first starting at just 99 cents. Okay. As a channel member, you'll get exclusive content, special emojis, happy hours with me and Llama, and much more depending on your level. Okay. Now, before we get to our cases today, I wanted to let you all know that today will be the last Midday Missing of 2025. Okay. Since this is our last episode of the year, though, I thought I would cover 5 cases today. Yep, 5 cases. It's 2025, so we're going to give you 5 cases. And first, we're going to start in North Carolina. Then we're going to head to my home state of Texas. So, guys, you are going to want to buckle up. It is going to be extra heartbreaking. But as I say that, I want you all to remember that each and every missing person we cover has a family who will be celebrating the holidays without their loved ones. And guys, every day is hard for them, but holidays have got to be extra hard for them. So let's keep them all in our thoughts. Now, before I start on our 5 cases today, I want to give an update on a case we covered back in September. Okay. In September, I told you about the disappearance of Lonene Rogers, who disappeared January 7th, 1981. And guys, I had lots to say, okay, during that. If you haven't seen it, go watch it because it was another situation of a law enforcement agency telling the family that we know who did it, but without a body or more evidence, we can't do anything. Yeah. I also told you about Lonene's daughter, Allison, who was a fierce advocate for her mom and for justice for her mom. Guess what, guys? On November 26, 2025, yes, just last week, the day before Thanksgiving, the man that police knew who did it, they called him in for questioning. Clinton Rogers confessed and was charged with killing his wife, Lonene Rogers, on January 7th, 1981. He has been charged with homicide. And based on what I read today, he is not told where her body is, but hopefully He will soon so that Allison and the family can bring her home, give her the proper burial that she deserves, and so that they can say goodbye. Guys, I also want to say Allison's tenacity paid off. And I want us to all think about that. Okay. Here at Midday Missing, all we can do is share the missing stories in support of the family and hope one day they will get the answers they deserve. And to all the families still fighting for justice of your loved ones, I hope Lona's story will give you additional hope and energy to keep fighting for your loved ones. That does pay off. Okay. And it's amazing. There is a Facebook page for Lonine if you want to go and follow it to stay up to date. I was traveling. I have not been able to dive deep in to find out how it all happened. I just know that he confessed, and that is amazing. Okay. That is amazing. Now, let's get into our cases today. Now, it was Thanksgiving weekend 2016, and it was a time when most families were gathered around tables, sharing food and laughter. But for one family, that weekend would become a nightmare that has lasted for years. Christopher Cole Thomas, just 22 years old, vanished without a trace in the early morning hours of November 25th, 2016, in Benson, North Carolina. 8 years later, his family is still searching for answers. Cole was born and raised in Live Oak, Florida. He had a bright smile, loved to cut up and laugh, and had a natural ability to make people feel at ease. Guys, look at that face, the smile. I can just see him having a little smirk just to try to make people laugh. I could just feel his infectiousness through that. Now, after studying sports medicine at the University of Florida, Cole decided to change directions and he became an electrician. In October 2016, just a month before he disappeared, he moved to Minnesota to start a new apprenticeship and begin a fresh chapter of his life. And by all accounts, he was excited about his future. But that future was cut short during what was supposed to be just a quick road trip. On November 24th, 2016, Cole and two coworkers made the long drive from Minnesota to North Carolina. The reason for this trip remains one of the many mysteries in this case. Okay. According to Cole's family, they thought he was simply traveling for the holiday weekend. But later, police reports revealed a very different story. They revealed that the men had stopped in Benson, North Carolina to do a big drug deal. Now, we don't know if Cole knew they were doing this. Remember, he had just moved to Minnesota. These were new people. And what happens next has never been fully explained. In the early morning hours of November 25th, 2016, around 3 a.m., Cole was driving near the intersection of East Morgan Street and North Elm Street in Benson. Now, for reasons, like I said, that remain unclear, he suddenly stopped the car, got out, and ran away. Now, one of his coworkers went to look for him and returned about an hour and a half later, but Cole was gone. He's never been seen again. When he disappeared, Cole was wearing a baseball cap, a blue t-shirt with black long sleeves, and dark colored pants. He stood 6'1", weighed about 200 pounds. He had blue eyes, brownish blonde hair, and a tribal style tattoo on his left chest and shoulder. Now, the Benson Police Department requested help from the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation, and together they launched extensive searches across Johnston and Wayne counties. Investigators learned that Cole had spent several hours in the Mount Olive area of Wayne County before he vanished. Search teams combed the fields, woods, and waterways. No traces have been found. Interesting enough, In July of 2017, nearly 8 months after Cole disappeared, 4 men were charged in connection with the case. Jeremy Brian Carpenter, Rodolfo De Leon Jr., Anthony Rydell James Jr., and Julian Valles Jr. were all charged with concealment of a death. 3 of them, everyone except for De Leon, also face obstruction of justice charges. Now, 2 of those men, Valles and Carpenter, were the same co-workers who had been with Cole the night he vanished. In September 2019, prosecutors dropped all charges, explaining that doing so was necessary to avoid jeopardizing any potential future homicide prosecution. I don't get that. How does those charges have anything to do if future homicide charges are filed? I still do not get it. That's just me. To this day, no one has been convicted of Cole's disappearance, and no remains have been found. Cole's family continues to hold on to hope, but they do believe foul play was involved. I agree with them. It's been years, guys. The heartbreak, false leads, and unanswered questions. I mean, mine is, why did he run that night? Was he scared? Or did something more sinister happen after he got out of that car? Like I said, sometimes people can run away from a bad situation and run into a worse situation or something more nefarious. We don't know. But for Cole's loved ones, questions haunt them every day. A $50,000 reward is still being offered for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the person or people responsible for Cole's disappearance. Christopher Cole Thomas was a son, a brother, and a friend. He was a young man full of laughter and dreams and a future. He deserves answers, and his family deserves peace. Someone out there knows the truth. If it's one of those 4 men, I hope somebody will come forward and give information that will help the family. If you know anything, no matter how small, please contact the Benson Police Department at 919-894-2091 or the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation at 1-800-334-3000. Guys, I'm also going to ask you this. Please go to our social media pages and share the missing person posters. Let's help these families. Let's remember, they're going to bed every night and during another holiday season without knowing where their loved ones are. So, guys, it was a warm Sunday evening in Edenton, North Carolina, when 39-year-old Karen Ray Bosta stopped by the Food Lion on North Broad Street. She was supposed to return home later that night. She never did. Her red 1997 Lincoln Continental was found a week later, locked, abandoned, and without her keys. And to this day, no one knows what happened. Born on December 20th, 1975 in New Jersey, Karen was the youngest of 3 children. She grew up and she was described as a bright, tender, and deeply compassionate person. She earned her degree in early childhood education at Morris County Community College and spent years teaching in public schools, dedicating her life to helping others. In 2014, Karen made a big change. She moved from New Jersey to Hartford, North Carolina, to care for her mother and her grandmother. And everyone said she adjusted well to her new life. Family and friends say she was happy, grounded, and was still driven by the same kindness she had always been known for. On May 31st, 2015, Karen was last seen leaving that Food Lion store. She had gone out with friends earlier that day, but never returned home. She was wearing a white t-shirt, white shorts, and gray slip-on Skechers shoes. She carried a pink quilted fabric purse with a paisley pattern. Her car keys attached to a hook holder with a small butterfly charm. Now, Karen was also taking prescribed medication at the time. It was important, the kind with dangerous side effects if suddenly you stop taking it. That detail added an even greater sense of urgency to the search when she didn't come home. Now, like I said, her car was found a week later. It was found parked in the back lot of the Gaslight Square Shopping Center in Edenton. Now, authorities soon learned that the day after Karen vanished, a man named Thomas Edward White Sr. used her Discover credit card to buy cigarettes at a different Food Lion store in Edenton. Now, he was later charged with obtaining property by false pretense in attempting to obtain property. Okay. So basically, he stole the credit card wrongly and then tried to use a stolen credit card to buy goods, which makes it stolen. I don't know why we have to make it so difficult. In 2018, he pleaded guilty, received probation, and was ordered to pay restitution. But guys, questions remain. Did he know Karen? How did he get that credit card? Does he know what happened to her? I mean, so many questions. Now, investigators have called him a person of interest in her disappearance. And though he faced legal consequences for the fraudulent charges, there's not been any evidence that directly connects him to what happened that night, or the police are holding it close to their chests. Karen's disappearance has been described as completely uncharacteristic of her. She was close to her family, responsible, and had strong roots in her community. Guys, she moved to help take care of her mom and grandmother. That shows you she was close to her family and she was responsible. Now, police say foul play is strongly suspected, and my response is no shit. Okay? No shit. Foul play is, suspected. Years have passed, but her loved ones continue to fight for answers. Now, there is a Facebook page called Missing Karen Ray Bosta, where family and supporters share updates, memories, and pleas for information. If you know anything about what happened to Karen Ray Bosta, please contact the Edenton Police Department at 252-337-4875. Even the smallest detail could finally give police answers that they need to finally bring her family what they want, answers. So please share her story. Keep her name alive because someone out there knows something. Now, this next case is very disturbing. And if y'all are new here, you may not know this, but I grew up in Houston. And something I find really disturbing, I never heard about this case until a couple of months ago. And guys, that is not okay. How did I grow up in freaking Houston and live there when this happened and I never heard of it? So guess what? We're going to get to it and we're going to be sure that we share the heck out of this story, okay? It was the afternoon of January 10th, 1985 in Houston, Texas, a typical school day that should have ended with two children safely walking home. But for 5-year-old Pamela Mayfield and her 6-year-old brother Michael, that walk would be their last known moments. Nearly 4 decades later, their case remains, in my opinion, one of Houston's most heartbreaking mysteries that's not well known of. The disappearance of 2 young siblings seen getting into a green car with an unidentified man and never seen again. Pamela and Michael were kindergarten students at Betsy Ross Elementary in Northeast Houston. Pamela was attending kindergarten for the first time, and Michael was repeating it. And on that Thursday afternoon, around 2:30 p.m., Witnesses saw the siblings leaving school, heading towards their home on Deschamps Street, not far from the East Tex Freeway. Now, along the way, they stopped to play in a nearby park. Witnesses recall seeing them laughing, talking, and then climbing into a green car with an adult man. They never arrived home. They've never called. They've never been seen again. And before anybody wants to start talking crap about them walking, we did that stuff back in the 80s, guys. I did it. I would walk a couple of miles to Uvalde Superette, so I'd ride my bike there. So let's not, it was a different time. Okay. Now, at the time, Pamela and Michael lived with their maternal grandmother in the 3500 block of Deschamps Street. She was their primary caregiver, loving, consistent, and protective. Now, the children regularly visited both of their separated parents and their partners. And by all accounts, the home they shared with their grandmother was safe and stable. Pamela was 5 years old. She was 2 feet 9 inches tall and weighed 55 pounds. She was a wee little thing. Now, she was last seen wearing a yellow jacket with red and blue stripes, a light blue shirt, blue jeans, black shoes, and white hair braids. Her ears were pierced, and she had bright brown eyes and black hair. Michael, 1 year older, was 6. He stood about 3 feet tall and weighed around 75 pounds. Now, he had a burn scar on his right wrist and a slight stutter. That day, he wore a blue and red jacket, red pants, and a red and gray shirt and blue sneakers. Police immediately began searching the neighborhood and surrounding areas. Witness statements about the green vehicle gave investigators their first and only real lead. But the man driving that car was never identified, and the car has not been found that I could locate. Now, 4 months later, in May of 1985, Houston police received a strange call. Okay. A man claimed that Michael and Pamela hadn't been kidnapped at all and that they were living safely with their paternal grandmother on 75th Street in Los Angeles, California. Authorities followed up because the Mayfields did have family in Los Angeles, but none of them had children, nor did they know where they were. Okay. The caller, described as sounding like an elderly African-American man, was never traced. Okay. Investigators could never determine who he was or why he made that call. Now, police wondered originally if someone close to the family might be responsible, perhaps a relative, a family friend, but extensive background checks on everyone connected to the children turned up nothing. There were no signs of abuse, neglect, or motive for anyone in the family to take them. However, investigators do believe that Pamela and Michael likely knew their abductor. They had been taught stranger danger. They had been taught not to get into a car with strangers, which means the man in the green car was someone they recognized or trusted. Despite years of searching, interviews, no remains, no credible sightings, and no arrests have ever been made. Today, Pamela would be 46 years old and Michael would be 47. This case remains open and classified as a non-family abduction. Both the HPD and National Missing Persons agencies continue to hold their files active, hoping that someone, somewhere, remembers something about that green car or the man who drove it. If you have any information about the disappearance of Michael and or Pamela Mayfield, please contact the Houston Police Department at 832-394-1872. As I say, the smallest tip could bring answers. Even if it's something you overheard and you think it's a rumor, it could still be truth. Okay. Michael and Pamela Mayfield's story reminds us how fragile safety can be and how long love waits for answers. I agree. Lady in Gray said stranger danger gave false sense of protection. As we know now, it's usually the someone the kids know. Agree. Totally agree. Um, I want us to share their story, their faces, their names, because somewhere someone knows what happened. Okay. Someone. And your silence might be the only thing standing between answers and justice. Okay. Now, if you know, or if you have a loved one missing and are interested in having their story featured on an upcoming episode, or if you're a family member and you want to join us live for an interview and come on the show, contact Amy, our producer, by emailing her at amy@tcwtmedia.com, or you can contact us through all our social media accounts. Except for my TikTok account, which has been banned because someone reported it for hate speech. But that's another story. Okay. Now, I just thought of this and I'm going to share this with y'all because, like Lady in Gray, stranger danger gave a false sense of protection. I do remember walking home in middle school. My middle school was probably 3 miles from my house. Me and my friend, who was a neighbor, were walking home, and a man pulled up in a brown car and rolled down his window. And we were walking by the car and he stopped. So we went to go around it. And he was pleasuring himself in the car. And we took off running and screaming. And of course, our parents called the police. Um, Stuff happens, guys. It does. And that was back in the 80s. So today it's even more. Make sure your kids know to scream, run, whatever they need to do. Okay. Because it's a scary world. Now, this next case is extra heartbreaking. And I want to give you a huge trigger warning. Okay. I know we dropped some trigger warnings, but this one is really a big trigger warning. And it looks like Kelly P joined us. Hello, Kelly P. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Now, I do want to give a warning that this case involves sexual assault of a minor. That may be triggering for some. If you need to leave, please do not feel bad. I'm not going to be getting into the specifics, but it is mentioned. And I understand that it is still a topic that can be very triggering. Okay. 18-year-old Caleb Diehl was known for his energy, his work ethic, and adventurous spirit. He was a high school senior from Nocona, Texas. Caleb had plans, friends, and a close-knit family who adored him. But on March 30th, 2015, during a quick trip home, everything changed. Caleb borrowed a family friend's truck to meet up with some friends and was never seen again. That Monday evening, Caleb told his sister he was heading out for a bit, promising to be home later. He was driving a champagne-colored Chevy pickup belonging to a family friend and employer, Ricky Dale Howard. Caleb's own vehicle was in the repair shop. Okay, so Howard lent him one of the trucks. Now, when Caleb didn't show up for school the next morning, his mother, Tammy, was immediately concerned. Calls to his phone went straight to voicemail. None of his friends had seen him, and there were no signs of his truck. By Wednesday, Tammy filed a missing person report with Nocona police. Now, later that day, Howard called Tammy with a startling update. He claimed that the truck had magically reappeared at his shop. Okay? When Tammy and investigators arrived, they found the vehicle parked inside, keys hanging in their usual place, but still no sign of Caleb. Police quickly learned that Caleb's cell phone last pinged near Howard's property before going dark. Howard admitted to finding a broken phone in the truck, but said he threw it away. By the time investigators tried to recover it, the garbage had already been collected. Red flag. The kid who borrowed your truck, who hasn't been seen again, the truck just miraculously shows up and you find a broken phone in it and you just throw it away. Sir, I'm going to call bullshit. Okay. That is some bullshit. Okay. Now, those early inconsistencies raised red flags for investigators, not just for me. Okay. Investigators noted that the day after Caleb vanished, Howard destroyed his own phone, cutting the SIM card into pieces. Another red flag, guys. In fact, Howard's new nickname is just going to be Red Flag. Okay. He is just Red Flag. Now, during a search of his properties, police discovered a burn pit containing computer towers. Not sus at all, Mr. Red Flag. Now, Red Flag Howard claimed they belonged to his deceased parents. When police pressed for answers, Howard denied knowing what happened to Caleb. The case went cold until later revelations would expose a far darker side to this so-called family friend. Caleb had grown up close to the Howard family. Their sons were about the same age, and the two families spent time together often. Barbecues, trips, and they worked around the ranch together. Howard was a respected businessman and former bank president, and he was seen by many as a pillar of the community. And he paid local boys for odd jobs, and everyone said he seemed trustworthy. But that trust would be shattered because Mr. Red Flag Howard, we're about to find out. In 2016, after Caleb's disappearance, multiple men came forward accusing Howard of sexual assault. Investigators learned that Red Flag Howard had a criminal history, including a 2007 conviction for bank fraud. I guess that's when he quit working at the bank, y'all think? Maybe. Now, during that early federal investigation, an FBI agent had also heard from 5 young men, that had claimed that he had assaulted them. Those allegations were not prosecuted, but the judge had ordered Howard to undergo sex offender treatment. Okay. In 2017, Tammy made a discovery that changed everything. While cleaning her bathroom, she found a plastic bag hidden in a cabinet above the bathtub on the very top. That's to hide stuff, right? Inside were handwritten notes of polygraph questions, a tape recorder with the audio of a man practicing polygraphy answers, and a clock radio with the hidden camera. Handwriting analysis and audio confirmed they belong to Red Flag Ricky Howard. It appeared that Caleb had been collecting evidence, preparing to expose Howard's abuse. Investigators soon uncovered 2 old computer drives, once owned by Howard. Inside were hundreds of explicit images, including photographs showing Caleb being sexually abused when he was between 13 and 15 years old. For his mom, Tammy, the discovery was devastating. She said, it was like all of a sudden it became very, very real. And I just felt like I should have known he was my baby. Tammy, do not judge yourself, okay? These people are predators, okay? They're predators. Now, Howard was charged with sexual exploitation of a minor and faced multiple additional allegations of child sexual abuse. His first trial ended in a mistrial, but in a later plea deal, Howard admitted guilt in exchange for the dismissal of other charges. He was sentenced to 30 years in a federal prison, and the courtroom was filled with families, not only the Diehls, but others who had accused Howard of molestation over the decades. While his imprisonment brought a measure of justice, it did not bring answers to the question that still haunts the Diehl family. Where is Caleb? Despite the years that have passed, Caleb Diehl remains missing. Investigators believe foul play is likely. No shit, Sherlocks. Sorry, guys, that just irritates me, okay? Howard remains the primary person of interest. Caleb's family continues to hope that someone, anyone, might hold the key to finally bringing him home. I am going to ask you all if you have any information about Red Flag Howard or the disappearance of Caleb Diehl, please contact the Nocona Police Department at 940-825-3281. Or you can always go to FBI.tipsgov. I'm sure they'll drop it in the chat, but it's something like that, okay? Now, Caleb's story is a chilling reminder that sometimes the people we trust the most can hide the darkest secrets. If you suspect abuse or if you are being abused, speak up. You are not at fault. It's not your fault, okay? If you know anything about Caleb, please come forward, even if it's a rumor. Because for Caleb's family, the search of truth will never end until Caleb comes home. Guys, that case is extra heartbreaking. And the fact that Mr. Red Flag Howard is in a federal prison, why is he in Club freaking Fed? Why is he not in the worst possible Texas prison with no air conditioning? Why? Why is he not somewhere where he has to be worried about becoming the victim? Just frustrates the crappers out of me, guys. It does. It does. Okay. Now, I do want to thank you all for joining me today. I do look forward to seeing you again on Monday, January 5th, for our next episode of Midday Missing. Yes, you heard that right, guys. Midday Missing will be back in January 2026. And I know it sounds like a long time, but it will go by quick. Okay. And don't forget, you can join our Midday Missing Facebook group where we post all of the missing person posters as well as share other posters. Okay. Like I said, we also post them on all of Teri True Crime socials. Okay. Now, follow us on our social media platforms to stay connected, especially during the next month or two. We're on hiatus from our shows. We're going to be dropping some fun stuff there, okay? But remember, if you're watching this over on the book face, you don't get to see all of our shows. You have to go over our YouTube channel to see everything. Same thing with our podcast, okay? You don't get to hear it all. Now, just a reminder, True Crime and Wine Time is also on holiday. We will be back with a new episode on February 5th. Okay. But not to worry, our channel will not be dark during December and January. We will still have things going on. So you're still going to get plenty of me and Mama. In fact, guys, I have a new show. Okay. It is Dinner, Wine, and Dateline with Teri True Crime. It's a brand new interactive live stream where true crime's going to meet conversation, some good food, and a good glass of wine. So each episode, I'm going to settle in with dinner, most likely made by Double H, a glass of wine, and Dateline. And I am inviting you to join me as I watch a pre selected Dateline episode in real time. You're going to get to experience my reactions, my rants, my unfiltered commentary, and some of my insight as the story unfolds. Guys, I talk to the TV and yell at the TV. There are times that I am yelling at Mr. Josh Mankiewicz. Okay. So you're going to get all of that. I'm also going to engage in live chat, responding to your thoughts, theories, and questions. So it's kind of part watch party, part discussion, and all heart. Okay. It's a place where fans can share a meal, sip some wine, and dive into the twists and turns of Dateline together with me, Teri True Crime. Now, the premiere will be on Sunday, December 21st at 7 p.m. Central. Then it will officially start on Sunday, January 4th at 7. And guys, the one on the 21st, I'm already going to give y'all a heads up. It's going to be from bed, and because I'm having surgery next week and I am going to be in bed still at that time. So I will either be on pain pills or drinking wine. We will have to see which one. So it is going to be, it's going to be fun. Okay. Now, if you haven't become a member of our YouTube channel, you really should, because we have all sorts of amazing perks for members, including several shows that are exclusively for members and much more. Okay. Just go click the join button on our page and pick whichever whichever level works for you guys. Um, yes, I know I'm lisping a little bit. I broke my temporary crown and I've got to get it fixed tomorrow. So I'm having to be careful. Now, guys, our lowest level, if you look, is just 99 cents a month. Okay. And if you're at that top level, Forever Fam level, our first ever merch box is going out. So quarterly, we send out a merch box that is themed, and that first one will be coming out. So I'm very excited about that. And also, guys, it's the holiday time. So be sure to check out the merch shop on our website, tcwtmedia.com. We are always dropping new merch. Okay. And depending on what level you're at, sometimes you get to see that merch before others. Okay. And Cozy Crew or Ride or Die, they even get discounts. Okay. So there is lots of cute stuff. And we have even more new cute stuff dropping. And it will drop in the next day or two. So definitely keep an eye on our YouTube chat channel. Okay. And guys, most importantly, until next time, I want you all to please stay safe, enjoy the holidays, tell those that you love how you feel. Be sure to share those missing person posters we post to let the families know we are thinking about them and that we are sending them big hugs this holiday. I also want to ask you all to send up good vibes into the universe, because Double H is having hip replacement surgery on Wednesday. Then I am having surgery on Tuesday next week. So we will be convalescing through the holidays. So please keep us all in your thoughts. And you never know, I'm sure under narcotics and medications that I will be releasing things on social media. Hopefully, we can get my TikTok reinstated. But if not, I will convert my personal TikTok over so that I can still share some fun stuff there. So, everyone who's watching, please take care of yourself. The holidays are a very stressful time. I think we all know that. We all want it to be perfect. We want to do all of this. I get that, but let's remember self care and self love. We can't take care of others if we don't take care of ourselves first. Okay, guys? So take care, and I will see you soon. Bye, guys.